Okay, we're ready.
All right. Straight up 6 o'clock, so I will call the meeting to order. First thing we'll cover is public input. So for public input, this is, just as a reminder, this is for anything that is not on the agenda that anybody wants to speak to. So having said that, is there anything anybody wants to cover? Anybody wants to come up and speak to? Okay, I take that as...
Commissioner, just real quick, everybody knows we have a new layout, new mics, so we're still testing the strength of the mics. So we're hoping these are going to help when people view this on YouTube. They actually can hear the commissions and the councils and that type of thing. So just make sure you kind of lead forward and the light will turn green, and that means you're live.
I told Sheila earlier I was going to do a test in just different volumes so we can see what actually works.
Well, there you go, exactly.
Okay, so no public input on anything that's not on the agenda, so then I'll move to the next item, which is the development update.
Yes, Commissioner, I want to give you guys a quick update. So as you guys, the Ani Ranch development is continuing to do the public improvements. You'll notice the fencing, they're putting in some landscaping. They still got some internal work to do as well, so they're continuing to move forward on that project. Copper Knolls Estates, we have issued the final acceptance on their public improvements, and now we're just waiting to confirm that the addresses get recorded into the emergency systems and that type of thing. So once that's confirmed, we will start issuing permits as they come in. But that's where we are with those two.
Great, thank you. Okay, next up then is the consent agenda. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes from our last planning and zoning meeting on April 20th?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All right, moving through. Mark and I had a question about whether this was gonna beat his record for the fastest meeting ever, so. So we'll see. We're trying. Okay, so items for consent, now we're down to items for consideration. So this is a public hearing for the items that are on the agenda. The first up is a proposed ordinance for open spaces. And so what we'll do is, if anybody has, from the community has any feedback, we'll take that first, and then we can discuss it here, and then we can decide what we would like to do with it. So is there any feedback from the floor? Okay, there you go. So I will start on my left, I guess, and
Commissioner,
yes.
would you please open up the public hearing at a certain time?
Oh, sorry. Yes, so I opened the public hearing but didn't state it out loud at 6 o'clock straight up. So feedback on the proposed.
So if I'm looking at this correct, this is the draft for the requirement of the ordinance, right?
My understanding, yes.
So is this the first original draft, or has there been a revision to this?
So let me give you a quick history on this. So this is something, as the council and the team has been updating ordinances, this is just one of many. So as you guys know, we started with subdivision, aviations, tree ordinances, that type of thing. So this came up on the list of something we wanted to make sure that as development continues to come in Copper Canyon, that we wanted them to dedicate some open space within either a private development or a public development, because what we find now is we have ordinances that allow the developer to dedicate retention and detention ponds on private lots. And so instead of having their own lot to do that, and that creates a whole host of concerns as it relates to maintenance and all those things. And so this past June, the first version of this draft open space ordinance went to the council for review, and then it went again the following meeting. So there's been a lot of versions of this that the council had the opportunity and input on. And so now we're kind of at the final draft stage. And so we wanted to bring it to the planning and zoning as kind of the final draft. And then this, if you guys agree that this is in the right place, then it will be taken to council on the 24th for approval and to be put in place.
Okay, I think it's good. I looked over it prior to coming in here. Question, is this going to go into with the developments as far as flat work ordinances as well? Sidewalks, things of that nature on private lots?
No, this is open space.
Right, I know, I understand that, but has anybody talked about the sidewalks that go along with this, right? Because
Typically in Copper Canyon, if you notice, we have lots of bar ditches and that's everything. So if you opt not to do a bar ditch, then you potentially could do sidewalks. But if we maintain that country feel where we're going to do the bar ditch look, then it's very tough to do sidewalks. And so we've always, since I've been here, we've always kind of went back and forth. We had asked William Ranch to do that, but I was too late to the game. All that had been approved because they did do a curb and gutter, and that makes it more conducive to do the sidewalks. But, you know, Copper Canyon's challenge as it relates to sidewalks is you've got a community that's a rural feel, a lot of bar ditches. You would have to cover those up, put the storm drains in to support or widen your streets and potentially make them a little wider. But I don't know if that answered your question, but that's,
No, it's fine. I just, in a couple neighboring towns, they kind of use the open space type of policy or ordinance to incorporate when a sidewalk would or would not be used.
Got
So
it.
that's what I was just asking, if this was going to live. As this is fine. I mean, it sounds like it's been covered by the HOAs, are the ones that will be responsible for the space.
correct.
Okay, no, I don't have any other comments.
Were the changes instigated by Ani or another development specifically, or was it just?
No specific developments. I think holistically looking at Copper Canyon and we're trying to preserve this characteristic of rural feel. You know, part of that is, you know, people always say, well, can the council or the town help preserve that feel? And unless we go out and buy the land, we can't preserve the rural open space. And so, and one way to do that, and a lot of cities do this, is they require developers to dedicate acre land, half acre, based on the number of rooftops they put in. You know, so that's one way you can kind of help do that within small communities, and that's kind of what drove this. Is we wanted to kind of start looking at more and more developments coming. How do we preserve that open space? And this is one element to do it with.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when we talk to a developer, we're like suggesting to them, but there aren't any teeth in any of the suggestions, and so this brings a little bit to that.
Yes.
Yeah. Other comments?
No, I didn't have any.
Okay.
I liked this. I think this is
Right.
well done and good.
Yeah,
Okay.
no comment.
So I've got a few for you, just to kind of make sure I'm grounded in some things. So, I mean, I'm on board with what we're trying to accomplish. I think I just want to make sure that we're clear. And so, the first item, and I talked to Troy before this, is that if you look at the numbering, there's no section 5 in the version that was sent out. We go from 4 to 6. And so I wanted to understand if that was just a numbering problem from a redlining or if there's content missing. And not sure that there's content missing, but it ties to one of my other questions, which was a little bit confusing for me. There's a reference to setting aside the land for the open space based on the size of the lots and the size of the development. But then there's also a reference to a $3,000 fee. And so I'm not sure, in my opinion, I'm not sure the way it's worded is really clear yet for somebody to understand. My understanding, because I talked to Troy before we met tonight, was that there's an open space requirement, and then there's an expectation that the developer would improve on that open space, or if the developer chooses not to do that, to put the funds in lieu of that, right?
It says it in addition to, doesn't it?
So I think it was written in a way that, you know, a developer comes in, they dedicate a half acre of land. Well, that's great. Well, we want to make sure it's a usable open space for the community in which it's in. And so whether they decide to do a dog park or they want to do a playground system or whatever it may be, that HOA has some funds there to do that. That he's just not saying, here's your grass, have a good day type of thing. So this would be along with dedicating that acreage or half acre, whatever the requirements based on number of lots.
So in addition to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to make, because it wasn't, to me on my first read, it wasn't really clear exactly how that fit.
Because at the beginning, there was a section that said in lieu of.
Right.
And so maybe I should find that.
Right.
And then now it says in addition to.
Yeah, so if you look at section 6 is where this comes up.
Yeah.
It says, in addition to the open space requirement, the park development fee is required to be filled, and then it goes on to give all the requirements. So if we need to clarify that, we certainly can do that.
In lieu
I
of.
just think a little bit of clarification around that.
Earlier.
Yeah, yeah. I think the original section 5 had the in lieu of part.
Right.
That's what I was telling.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's where I was saying, I was trying to understand what happened to section 5. So I think in taking that out, it created a little bit of confusion where section 5 before probably had more clarity.
Okay.
That might need to get cleaned up a little bit, in my opinion. And then I think, kind of an open question is 3,000 the right number? It's just, I'm not sure if there was math behind it or an arbitrary number, but so there's a couple of things that come to my mind for that. If the city sort of takes ownership of doing those improvements in lieu of the developer doing it, then like how do we decide what it is, what's the right dollar amount? We're putting 3,000 into an ordinance. So I don't know if it's right or wrong. It just brought a set of questions for me about like what's the process around it? Is it the right number, et cetera?
Is there a way to, it seems, I don't know, maybe this is a legal thing, but I'm not sure putting a number is necessarily always the right way to go.
Right.
You know, based on the development itself, right? Like somebody's doing a smaller neighborhood, smaller lots, smaller green space, not a lot you can really do, right? So I don't know if it's more of to be approved by the board or not to exceed a dollar value or something that allows a little freedom for the HOA to have a little room to maneuver.
Right.
I don't know. I'd tell you 3,000 doesn't buy a whole lot anymore nowadays.
So-
I mean, I get it. You're earmarking some money so that there's something there.
There's a starting point. There.
There is.
So, I would recommend either bumping it up to 5,000 as a minimum, and then if you look at that, it says per each required open space. So if you have open space and you have 6 to 20 lots, you may be dedicating, 2 half-acre minimal lots, okay? Now, I think we would understand from an HOA perspective, if you wanted to take that $10,000 and make one of those lots your premium playscape, and you use that 10 grand to do that, I think we would be okay with that. I think the council would approve that. I would assume, but that may be how it would work, and would recommend that versus saying, well, you got to use 5 for this parcel and the 5 for this parcel. I think there's some flexibility in that.
Yeah, so I mean, so then one last thought for everybody was, well, 2 thoughts, I guess. One, we always do this, we benchmark around all the local communities, right? So this is probably one of the stricter, I think, in what I looked at compared to what's around in most of the communities. Not that that's necessarily bad, just kind of, we always do that, so I wanted to lay that out there as a statement. And then the last thing was clarity around, is it public space, like public space, or is it public for within the HOA, if it's in an HOA, right? So we understand what access rights are and.
Certainly. So how this was set up is to really look at whether it's a private community with a gate around it, you're still required to create that that open space for that community. If they have public streets and there's no gates around it, then they would still have to create that based on per lot, and then anybody could drive in there and use it, type of thing. So we wanted to make sure it covered, because again, you got to remember the goal and the purpose was to preserve open space within Copper Canyon. Now, whether that's private or public, I don't think the concern was there. We just wanted to make sure there was some preservation of open space within any development within Copper Canyon, whether you're private or public.
Okay. Other discussion on it?
No, but I think we probably should at one point talk about the access. Just because I can see some stuff going sideways about why is this strange family in having a party here on this lot.
Pond in and everybody shows up. Right?
Because a lot of the green spaces they're going to do is around their detention pond.
Yeah.
That's what most of them are going to do, because they're going to have the easement anyway.
Right.
And then they can dress it up, and then, hey, it's a nice place to go sit and walk your dog. So
Yep.
I think at some point we need to address that.
Okay. So then so the second part of this is we're supposed to make a recommendation. So what do y'all want to do based on the conversation we've had, based on the ordinance we have in front of us? Suggestions?
So we can make a motion to recommend this to council, but with a $5,000.
We can do that.
Can't we do that?
Yeah.
Per location.
Per
per location.
per ocean. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else we want to add to it to recommend to them?
And we'll correct that section 5 as well.
Okay.
The numbering system.
Okay. So somebody want to make a motion?
Yeah, move that we approve the draft as written with the sole change of changing the 3,000 per open space location to $5,000.
Okay. Do I have a second? Second. Okay, so pass.
By who?
Second.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Knew you were gonna give me.
All right, so then we'll go to public hearing to hear public comment and make a recommendation to town council regarding Hacienda de los Sueños final plat. So first off, do we have any public commentary on it? Anything?
Oh, you know what? You need to close the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll close the public hearing on the open spaces, and I will open one on Hacienda de los Sueños.
At
at 6:16. And so with that, is there any public commentary on it?
And I'm sorry, did you open the second one?
Yes,
Yes.
You did? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I was typing
6:16.
at 6, and you closed the other one at 6:16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Misha Kaufman. I'm the developer on the project Hacienda de los Sueños. Been working with you guys for a while to get us there. As you'll see, a couple of things where we're not quite there. We're getting very close. We would love to figure out a way to move forward without there being too many delays. The horses are, if you've crossed by, so the horses are gone. The utilities are off. We're really close to moving forward. There's a couple of things where we're learning for the first time with the tree ordinances, which took us a little while to get right, and we're still finalizing that, but almost everything else, Troy will be able to speak to it better than we will. I think we're like 98 to 99% of the way there, so anything you can do to help us keep this project moving will be greatly appreciated, but we respect you no matter what, and we're excited to see this come to the community and bring some extra tax dollars and just be a great development in this space. So that's all I have.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so then I will close the public hearing on that at 6:18. And Troy, do you want to speak to where we are from your experience, or?
Yes, I sure will. As Misha mentioned, this project's been going on for a while, and they have done a lot of heavy lifting over the last couple of weeks to get all the comments back to our engineer. And any process like this, there's a lot of back and forth. And we've gotten the new tree ordinance requires them to create some plans, some tree removal plans, protection, preservation. And this is just the packet just to talk about trees. And so they got the framework done, but there's still some details that need to be done in that. So they surveyed the trees, they tagged the trees. There was some conflict in what the civil plan said versus what the plan said. So there's just things like that we just got to make sure we, as our team, reviews it, gets done, and we just need a little bit more time to do that. As far as the plat itself, again, they've done a lot of heavy lifting, and they submitted the updated comments today. Again, not really giving us, our team, enough time to review that. We think they're pretty close. Schaefer's here with TNP, who does a lot of the review in their group. There's things on there like the corner pin letter font was too small to read, so they need to blow that up. There were some dimensions on one side of the property that were a little off, so they corrected those. So we got a lot of those corrections today, but we now need to just go in and verify those in our team. So that's where we are today. And so with that, one of the things that you guys may want to potentially consider is to recommend this with conditions that they meet all the tree requirements that are laid out in our ordinance, as well as address all the engineer comments from our team no later than September 7th. So then it would go to council on September 14th. Our next council meeting is on the 24th. I'm not sure we can have all our reviews done this week, but that would be just a staff recommendation, but ultimately up to you guys on how y'all want to move forward.
Okay, any questions about Troy's update?
So is the only thing that hasn't been addressed per the comments and all the updates, I heard all those, is it trees is really where we're at? It's kind of stuff that hasn't been answered?
I think the question has been, a lot of the tree things have been answered. It's just not in the format. In other words, we don't have a map that says, here's the trees we're removing, here are the trees we're putting back.
So,
So
is it a caliper issue?
no, I don't think it's a caliber issue.
Okay.
I think it's just an
Just
illustration.
documentation.
Okay, so it's all clerical stuff.
We're taking these 30 trees out, and I'm putting 60 trees on the perimeter.
Gotcha.
We just don't have that verbiage, nor do we have a landscape map that would show that. And so we really need that clarification, because we need to make sure they put them in places that they'll actually grow and won't grow under power lines and, that type of thing. So there's some things like that. And then Schaefer, I'll let you speak to any engineering type questions as it relates to the plat. But like I said, there's just a couple of things that need to be adjusted on that. Nothing as it relates to lot sizes or configuration of the lots or streets or anything like that. There's just some things that just need to be corrected that we had sent to them.
Drainage, that's all been addressed.
Yes,
That's-
yep.
Okay.
So,
I anticipate a few minor, significant comments being addressed here, specifically like the configuration of the floodplain easement in the southeast corner, but those are items that can be addressed kind of as council looks at it. The drainage has been addressed, but my main concern is the trees. We have not had sufficient review of them yet to know that it's approvable.
Okay.
And just from y'all's information, I mean, they had to do a downstream assessment.
Right.
Which was
I remember
pretty
that. That was why I wanted
It
to
was
ask
a-
about. Yeah.
It was probably a $20,000 to $30,000 price tag for them to make sure that this development didn't have any type of downstream impact as they started building it out. So, like I said, this was a lot of heavy lifting on their part, but we are concerned about the trees and having it correspond with civil plans and that type of thing. So just a few more details to work out.
Okay. All right. So other comments? No? Comments? Okay. So then do we want to, anybody want to make an amendment? I mean, a proposal rather? Motion to pass it?
What are
pass
we,
it with
what are,
conditions?
just to be clear, are we talking about a condition with basically it sounds like they don't have they don't have a final landscaping plan, is that correct? That includes the trees, right?
Yeah, just from a part of the tree mitigation program and ordinance, we've got to have a map of that, correct?
Clearly have to have that.
Yes.
So that's basically what we're talking about here. That has to be basically submitted and accepted, basically, is what we're talking about.
Yes.
Correct.
So that's your
Yeah,
condition, I think?
yeah, I think that would be the condition, and it's just a timing issue because of, depending on the options we take, if we're trying to keep moving things forward with them, as long as they've been great to work with, then sort of cycling through the posting time, when we have to post up public notice, when the meetings are, et cetera, to keep it going, right? So if we felt like it was appropriate to pass this through tonight with conditions, then we could pass it through so that the next meeting, the September 14th council meeting, is where we'd come up for a final approval by the council.
So
Assuming all those
we're
work out.
thinking by the 7th?
By September 7th, just because of the posting
Right,
time there.
right,
Yeah, but we can't make the August, 24th meeting in time
Yeah.
with posting, because I think posting
Yeah.
has to go out.
Packets go
imminently.
out tomorrow, and
Yeah.
we don't have all the.
So this would allow everything to keep moving forward. It just pushes it to that September meeting.
Well, then, I'll make a motion to pass this through with conditions by September 7th.
And then those conditions are to meet the tree ordinance requirements and to respond to all the engineering.
And have all the documents conformed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Very good.
Good.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion passes. And I think that covers pretty much everything we had. We don't need to do anything, in my opinion, for executive session, so I think we can adjourn unless anybody has anything they want to add. All right. Thanks, everybody. Meeting adjourned at 6:19, I'm sorry, 6:24.
You lost.
Off by one.
You need your gavel.